Is everybody ready? Good to go? All right. Everybody but one. Everybody's good? All right. Well, good afternoon. I'm Detective Sean Green. That's SHAWN GREEN with the Austin Police Department North Metro Tactical Unit. I'm here to talk to you today about a successful and extensive investigation conducted by the North Metro Tactical Unit over the past 2 months. This investigation focused on 7 high crime areas identified as hotspots in North Austin, grounded in rigorous statistical analysis of crime reports and service calls. Our goal was to reduce the risks associated with these areas, which have gained notoriety as being open-air drug markets. Of the 7 identified locations, 6 were classified as drug-free zones, or DFZs, per the Texas Health and Safety Code, Section 481.134 for your reference. This designation identifies DFZ areas in, on, or within 1,000 feet of premises owned, rented, or leased by institutions of higher learning, public or private use centers, or playgrounds. These hotspots have been characterized by continuous loitering and the sale of various illicit narcotics, fostering an environment prone to multiple criminal activities. Historically, these locations have been linked to offenses such as assaults, thefts, robberies, weapon-related offenses, prostitution, vandalism, and disturbances that detrimentally affect the quality of life for local residents. In response to these issues, APD officers successfully secured arrest warrants for several suspects linked to these high crime areas. In collaboration with the APD Major Crime Suppression Unit, patrol officers in Edward and Ida sector, the Texas Department of Public Safety Criminal Investigations Organized Crime Unit, Austin Division, the APD North Metro Tactical Unit executed targeted operations leading to significant arrests and the identification of additional criminal activities. In total, 19 individuals have been arrested during these operations for a range of offenses, making a crucial step towards restoring safety and order in the affected communities. At this point, we'd like to highlight several of these areas and the associated arrests that occurred. First area we'll discuss is the area of 1800 Colony Creek near the Sunrise Mini Mart. On September 10th of this year, officers arrested Raheem Johnson, Willie Presley, and Sharon Harris, all for a charge of delivery of a controlled substance in a drug-free zone. Raheem Johnson was additionally charged with evading on foot. Officers also arrested Katrina Cubitt for delivery of a controlled substance in a drug-free zone, as well as Akeem Regions for the same offense and evading on foot, and Steve Bolden, who was charged with delivery of a controlled substance in a drug-free zone, possession of a stolen firearm, and unlawful carrying of a weapon. The next area is identified as 900 Rutland Drive in the area of Rutland and North Lamar Boulevard near the HEB. This also occurred on September 10th. As a result of the efforts there, we arrested Dale Gore for delivery of a controlled substance in a drug-free zone, Brandon Wilson for possession of marijuana in a drug-free zone, Robert Lemons for possession of marijuana in a drug-free zone, Marcus Mack for delivery of a controlled substance in a drug-free zone, Richard Avila, delivery of a controlled substance in a drug-free zone and tampering with evidence, and Anna Ailman with charged with possession of a controlled substance. From there, we transitioned over to the area of Manor Road and Rogge Lane in Austin, where on September 10th, we arrested Clifton Barnes on 1 count of delivery of a controlled substance in a drug-free zone. From there, we moved over to the area of Berkman and 290. There's a shopping plaza in that area with the Jack in the Box. At that location, we arrested Ormond Houston for delivery of a controlled substance in a drug-free zone, as well as Carlos Mayers for the same offense. Back to the area of 35 and East St. John's near the Webb Middle School. On September 10th, we arrested Richard Payne, who had an outstanding warrant charging aggravated robbery. We continued this operation for another week, and on September 12th, we arrested Dennis Sterling in that same area, also for delivery of a controlled substance and a drug-free zone. Moving over to the area of Jennifer Lane and Georgian Drive in the Georgian Acres housing area, we arrested Terrence Yarbrough on a charge of delivery of a controlled substance in a drug-free zone and possession of a controlled substance. And then back to St. John's Park in the area off Wilkes Avenue and Bennett Avenue. On September 17th, we arrested Willie Thompson on a charge of delivery of a controlled substance in a drug-free zone. All told, again, we made 19 arrests, or we arrested 19 individuals. We actually arrested one of them twice. He was arrested initially on the first day with the firearm. We learned subsequently that firearm was stolen and a new charge was issued, and he was arrested a second time. At this point, I'll open up to y'all if there's any questions you have. Go ahead.
How is APD ensuring that these operations are going to lead to long-term solutions?
It's a tricky part of the puzzle. What we know is that these areas have what we would call street-level dealers. We receive a number of complaints, continual complaints, from the residents in those areas about the crimes associated with it. So what we're going to do, or what we've been doing, is going out there to make those arrests, identify the key players, and try to work our way towards other suppliers, as well as other crimes in the area. We're trying to work with members of the community in those areas to identify ways that maybe we can help improve that, whether that's lighting, whether that's where their alcohol is sold nearby, any of those type of other efforts that we can do that can maybe positively, hopefully influence that community and help reduce that problem. Additionally, now that we've identified them, we've charged them, we're aware of them. So we're gonna keep an eye out for them and we can rearrest if we need to.
Are any of these individuals known to APD or repeat offenders? I know we've talked in the past about seeing the same people pop up over and over.
We have talked about that, and yes, we're in the same circumstance here. There's a number of these individuals that have been arrested multiple times in the past for very similar, if not the same offenses.
Does that pose a problem when you keep seeing them, you keep making arrests? Is that a problem for resources where you're going after the same people and there's other stuff coming up here in Austin?
It's about kind of managing and prioritizing our resources, right, throughout the city and the department, as everybody knows. So all we can do is to continue to try and fight that battle. So our officers are very good, and throughout the department, people are very good at working these areas and trying to identify the problem causers and take them into custody. And once we've done that, we've done our responsibility, and we're gonna do that to the best of our capability.
Seen some of these near schools. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. If you had a message for more dealers that are out there, or the people that keep buying from these people, what would be your message?
Well, part of our goal in meeting with you today is to put it out there that this work is being done. This isn't the type of work that often makes headlines, right? It's something that we just kind of do. This work happens all day throughout the city, every day. But we want to put it out there to let people know, like, hey, the community needs to understand that we're out there making these efforts. We're hearing you. We know that you have these problems. We want to help you. We want you to keep calling us. We want you to keep doing those things to help us. So this is our goal. We're going to keep going out there as often as we can, as long as resources will allow. And once we're able to do that, when we're able to do that, we'll make those arrests and we'll continue to push through.
Could you kind of talk about this screen here? I mean, I see some pretty hard stuff on here, but I also see some stuff that looks like candy, or I mean, what's going on? And is that a way for them to discreetly sell this stuff, or is that what's being sold package-wise?
So a lot of the stuff we're looking at here, you'll find this is, again, street-level dealers we're anticipating are going to be in possession of smaller amounts. You're not going to find large amounts. It's smaller amounts already prepared for street-level retail, right? So, for example, here you're seeing a number of cut-up prepared rocks of crack cocaine. We had some methamphetamine that we seized. We have the stolen firearm. We have various amounts and quantities of marijuana. These are going to fall within the specialized marijuanas, the different types that have come out now, and the different THC products.
I was going to say, I see like a wintergreen, like mint.
Used as a container to store other narcotics prepared for sale. A lot of these guys are pretty creative. They'll come up with different ways to try and avoid detection by law enforcement.
Are all of these people still in custody currently?
Not presently, no.
Have you ever seen any of them where cases are dropped and they're back out again? Or I know there's a lot of them out there, but when you rearrest them, find out that they did have a case dropped, or they are out on bond.
Sure. I mean, it's a lot of these individuals will get arrested. They'll be given the opportunity to bond, which again is part of our process, right? Part of the justice system. So they're allowed to make a bond, And if they reoffend and we catch them again, then we'll arrest them and take them back. We just try really hard to focus on the things that we can control, and to let the community know that we're out there at least making these efforts.
And I think this was a question that you also had, but we did see that there was a location that was near a school. Talk to us a little bit about how concerning that could be, and any message you have to parents who might be afraid of having their children walk to and from school with things like this happening.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why it became so important for us to focus on these particular areas. Like I said, 6 of the 7 were identified as drug-free zones. And essentially what that means is that they fall within 1,000 feet of an elementary school, a daycare, a children's playground, right? Some very sensitive areas where we want to make sure our children and our families feel safe. Additionally, some of these individuals, I can tell you as we've watched them, like 1800 Colony Creek or 900 Rutland, we're seeing the dope dealers standing out on the sidewalk. So you see a family that's trying to go to the HEB who's walking the stroller out into the roadway because the drug dealers are standing on the sidewalk. Well, it's just not acceptable, and so that needs to come to an end. So we're going to go out there to continue to try and make these efforts, but what we would say to the parents is to just always be vigilant, right? Even when you feel comfortable, it may be your neighborhood, you may feel like things are safe, but keep an eye on your children everywhere they go. Try and use a buddy system. Don't have them walk by themselves. And that's hard, right? You have parents who are trying to keep the house fed and trying to work and do all those other things, but to the best of your ability, work within your community. To have your kids stay together, keep an eye out on the people that are out and wandering through your area. And if you have any questions or concern, just call. The worst thing that can happen is you call and someone shows up and they've already left. But there's a lot of things that we can accomplish if we get that notification ahead of time.
Just 2 more follow-up questions from me. As far as these open-air drug markets, are you finding a crackdown on one spot and they come back to that location in a few months? Are they going to another spot? You know, are people obviously find their drugs no matter what? But
Sure.
It seems like these spots attract a lot of people.
So these spots are kind of like habit forming, right? If you know that you can stop at one 7-Eleven because it has the energy drink that you like, then that's the one you stop at, right? So it's the same thing. It's the same idea. Drugs are an economy. That's all there is to it. So they're going to go to the places where they feel comfortable, where they know that they can get what they want, so they don't have to spend the day traveling around trying to find their narcotics. People on both ends, both the sellers and the buyers, become comfortable with that, right? They've gotten very brazen because there hasn't been as much enforcement as we think we need to have. And that's something, again, while we're out there trying to work on these things. But these areas are popular for a reason. Either they're drawn to it for the location, they're drawn to it because people know to go there. So we're going to make arrests. It's going to quell them briefly. And other people are going to step in, or they're going to return. And then we're going to have to continue to revisit those spots. When we did the initial operation, when we started on the September 10th, we hit multiple areas, and we tried to hit as many of them as possible at once, so to avoid that opportunity for people to be like, oh no, the jump outs are out, what's going on, right? We want to be able to say, hey, let's be as effective as possible, take as much enforcement action as possible before they have the opportunity to start calling each other.
We'll take 2 more questions.
As far as some of the, I know you kind of briefly, can you talk about some of the drugs found, and are you finding more fentanyl or fetty, as I guess some people call it, mixed in with this stuff? Is that a more punishable crime, or
So they're all going to be classed. So fentanyl, cocaine, crack cocaine, meth, heroin, they're all going to be classed as the same penalty group 1. So the penalty itself isn't necessarily higher. There are circumstances where investigations may be given some more resource because the consequence of fentanyl became very popular. Everybody knew what it was about. They knew the overall consequence. What we know about narcotics, though, and what we know about the drug market within the city and around the country is that it's very geographical. So there are different areas where you're going to find different drugs available. For example, if you want to go buy hallucinogenic drugs, you might go to the campus area versus Rutland, right? So it just depends on where you're going, and that dictates the market of the people who are going to go to that area. So we did not seize, I don't believe anything in here was tested as fentanyl. The area we were focused on was mostly crack cocaine with some methamphetamine as well.
Anybody have a last question?
You think this 19 arrests at the end, they're all like tied with each other? Like, do you think some people may know each other or something like that?
I would say there's loose associations. It's not any sort of organized group. The group that's at Rutland, they deal at Rutland, right? And they're comfortable with each other. But they've been out on that block for 10 or 20 years. So yeah, they absolutely know some of the people who are on Colony Creek, who know some of the people at the other locations, right? But we can't say that they're working as any sort of like gang or organization beyond the scope of the area where they work. Again, there's going to be communications. People are going to talk, right? That's how they share information. They share information through social media, just like we do, right? So that's why when we get up here and get the opportunity to speak to you guys, we want to put this information out. We want to make sure that you're able to share, and then we want to encourage people to jump on our social media. Feel free to call us. Feel free to continue to share information with us. Send us emails, send us 311, however you want to do it, through Crime Stop or anything. And just know, I'm sure there's a lot of people, there are probably thousands of people in the city who feel like nobody's listening, probably way more than that, right? But this is a demonstration of the fact that we are listening and we are trying to combat these things. It's just, again, we have to prioritize and we have to be able to find ways to be as efficient as possible with the resources we have. And this is an effort to do that, these high volume interactions.
Could I just follow up just on what she said on, is this stuff being manufactured locally? Is it coming in? I mean, I'm sure the investigation is still ongoing, but what's kind of the process there? I mean, as far as, you know.
Yeah, as far as the street level dealers, this is stuff that's most likely they're obtaining here in Austin. It's not created necessarily. We don't have any reason to believe it's created here in Austin. There are many other source locations that it's coming into the area from.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.